Chloe Bailey had her big break when her and her sister went viral with the cover of Pretty Hurts, but it wasn't until years later in 2020 during the Ungodly Hour era that they started to gain mainstream attention. They gained more attention for their tennis court concert series and were even nominated for a Grammy. Needless to say that these girls were and still are on the verge of becoming a huge success. So when Chloe announced her solo endeavors, one would think that anyone coming off of that success would be propelled to new heights. But that hasn't really been the case for Chloe. She's been dealing with a lot of issues since launching her solo career, and why is that? A girl who has the biggest cosign in the industry, who is vocally talented, and had just come off a successful album should have a good start with her solo career. Was it how she and her team were marketing her on social media? Was it the haters? Were they true that she is too extra, too fake, and just seeking attention? Well, I think it's because her team is misleading her and is more focused on turning her solo career into a moderate success rather than one of longevity.
I'm all about longevity. This isn't temporary. I'm long lasting. I'm still finding myself. I'm still finding my voice. I'm still perfecting it. There's so much more I have to grow. But I know for a fact I'm going to be doing this for a very long time because I'm confident in the gift that God gave me.
Parkwood promoted racy content on Chloe's social media to garner attention. And when Chloe cried on IG, they used her insecurities to push her online presence even further. They kind of set her up. Now let me explain and give some context. So Chloe and Halle announced that they were going to start their own social media pages aside from the group one in January, which is very common. Almost every group I follow does this. But Chloe ran into some controversy when she started up her TikTok. So she started the account in January, and like within a week, she did the Busted Challenge that went viral. She did a sensual dance in her room. Then she posted a video of her producing some beats, which is a very casual, and then she staged her place in her underwear. These posts generated so much buzz, especially the Busted Challenge, that people really started to pay attention to Chloe. I mean, I've seen so many Black Tea channels talk about the Busted Challenge and how Drake was following her soon after. Like, a lot of traction came from these posts. It seemed like everything was good up until January 31st. Chloe went on IG and cried about the negative comments people were saying about her. Chloe talks about finally feeling some confidence during the live. She explained that the reason why she was showing this sexy side of herself was because after years of self-deprecation, she was starting to feel confident in herself, and so this is the way she was doing it. And that she's always been sensual, racy, in fact that her friends and family have always seen this side of her, and she's just now letting the public see this side of her. That's what she said in her live. And she would repeat these same sentiments in interviews after the fact. Now, what's interesting is how quick news outlets and legit outlets, not just blogs, were quick to pick up on Chloe's IG breakdown. Not only that, but around this time, she just hit like 1 million followers on TikTok. So seeing all this, I'm like, yeah, her team used her insecurities so she could garner attention. And not only that, but also form her narrative and to establish the causes that she's passionate about. In this day and age, people want their celebrities to be passionate about a cause. People are more conscious now. They want a celeb with substance, to make her more relatable. She has to champion a cause. Listen, I do believe that Chloe could be a very sensual person. She has stated in many interviews that all the posts she got criticized for were on her Finsta for months before she decided to share it on TikTok. Okay, yeah, nothing wrong with that. But it's the way that it was put out on her TikTok. An endless stream of racy content made it seem like she was being attention seeking because you're just seeing one side of her. It made her look one note. Like, one would think no one looks like that all the time, which in turn made her look fake, which led to the common criticism that she is doing too much or that she's doing all this for attention. The thing is, she didn't have to go this intense in that racy direction, in that sexy direction. You have to remember, her and her sister built an audience on YouTube before they got signed. I don't know why she didn't do the cover thing, along with the racy stuff at the beginning to diversify her content. Because when you're just stuck with all this racy, sexy photos, you don't look authentic. You're not diversifying your content. Like, you see covers on her social media later on, I guess to diversify her content, to make it about the music. But even that is kind of racy, it's kind of sexy too. So it's like, you're not really accomplishing anything. But anyways, her team could have made her do collabs with other artists on her socials. Her team could have done ungodly tea time with other celebs to really get the buzz going. Parkwood could have done so much more. Chloe mentioned working on solo music too before doing the tennis court concerts. All she needed was a quality song to promote the ish out of it. Having nothing to promote left her and her team to figure out how to get attention with no music and no Halle. So the easiest route was the most controversial, sex it up. How else would they promote Chloe to the public during a panorama when everything's locked down? So I guess they figured put her on the uber popular platform TikTok, share nothing but the racy content for like a week straight, and boom, exposure.
People say I'm doing too much, and I have been doing too much ever since I was a little girl, and that's okay. As long as you're being yourself, it's never wrong.
So let's talk about the two biggest criticisms I've heard about Chloe. Her being extra and her attention seeking. The reason why Chloe being extra doesn't work for her is because she lacks self-confidence. Remember when she was in the group, Chloe and Hallie and her extraness kind of helped her out? People were receptive to it, but now not so much. Well, I think I could explain as to why people aren't as receptive to this trait as they used to be. First off, being extra, there's never a dull moment. There's always a show. It can definitely be a good thing. But let's look at the celebs who are extra. Gaga, for example, prime example of someone who's over the top, who's performative, and people feel it's authentically her. Gaga in recent times has rebranded and dialed it back a bit, but her in the meat dress and her being crazy on the stage, it worked for her. Even Nicki, you could point her out as extra too. In those early days in her career, she's wearing those big wigs, the crazy fashion, and it worked for her. So why isn't it working for Chloe Bailey? Simple. Confidence. These women had confidence when they wore their meat dresses or the crazy wigs. They didn't care about others' opinions. They rocked whatever they were wearing, whatever they were doing with such confidence. You knew they were that girl. Chloe Bailey, you can smell the insecurity from her.
So I am that bitch.
She doesn't have the confidence to make her over-the-top persona work. Like even in the recent interview, she mentions how she doesn't care about the haters, and she says that people who call her extra, they just don't get it. She's gonna keep being herself. But it's like when she's mentioning how she doesn't pay attention to all the haters and she doesn't care about them, it's not believable. Like people can tell that she still cares about the negative comments. I mean, her bringing it up in interviews just tells me that she cares. People can tell their insecurities are still a big issue for her. She's mentioned it multiple times. And yes, you can tell that it's still an issue that she's trying to conquer. Like she doesn't move like a confident girl. And you can see it. You can smell it. People can sense it. And all this leads people to believe that whenever she does do all her performances, her sexy posts, that she's being fake or she's doing too much or she's attention seeking because she doesn't sell it.
Like, I don't have a problem with Chloe being sexy, but it's not sexy. It's not sexy. It doesn't seem organic. It doesn't seem authentic.
She doesn't sell it. So I've already mentioned why Chloe being extra doesn't work for her. Let's dive more into the attention-seeking aspect of criticisms people say about her. Yes, one of the reasons she's perceived as a showboat is because of her low self-confidence, but there's another reason, her stunts. So of course every artist engages in stunts, but why doesn't it work out for Chloe? Well, let's look at her stunts. She's had multiple stunts, but I'm going to point out the ones that have failed for her, in my opinion. So the first stunt that comes to mind was the Juneteenth performance. Now earlier this year, ABC had a Juneteenth special to honor the history of those that were enslaved and were finally given the chance to experience freedom. So a lot of the performances on the special were very, tasteful, dialed down, emotional, and here was Chloe's. Bad taste is all I have to say. This performance divided the internet, and I have to say it's fine to put on a racy performance, but not on a special commemorating how the enslaved gained freedom. Not the right time. Like, read the room. This was such an obvious grab for attention, and I think Chloe and her team knew what they were doing when they did this. They wanted the buzz, which can be proven by how Chloe and her team never mentions what happened on the ABC special after the fact. Chloe did little to no interviews that month, and whenever it was brought up in passing, and no one ever brought up the backlash. I think this was a bad move on Chloe's part. Yes, with stunts, there will be haters and people who don't approve of it, but it needs to be in the minority. In the case of the Juneteenth performance, it felt like the majority, or it was literally 50-50. 50% of people were here for it, 50% were not. And that negative reception was too large. It was not a success for her. And I think it was also a mistake on her part because it kind of proved what the critics and the haters were saying. You know, she just wants attention. You saw what she did on that Juneteenth performance. It wasn't respectful. She was too explicit. She was so disrespectful. She must have wanted attention. She was proving the haters right, the critics right. This was done in bad taste, especially with the Black issues that were happening during the panorama to prompt networks and shows to celebrate Juneteenth in the mainstream. Chloe dropped the ball, dropped the respect, and cheapened the reason as to why the program was on in the first place. A program meant to celebrate and educate those on Black history, and she made it about herself. She saw it as an opportunity to trend. She must have wanted attention. The second failed stunt, in my opinion, was the Have Mercy VMA performance. That whole thing was meant to shock people. Of course, it's no biggie. A lot of artists do it, and honestly, it's what you do in the VMAs. Like, duh. Now, again, this performance was polarizing. Aside from the conspiracy theories and the Beyonce comparisons, in the end of it all, it rubbed people the wrong way. Too many people who had negative opinions on it, they weren't in the minority. They were almost the majority. You know, it's a great skill to read the audience and know what will work and how they will positively respond to things. And I think Chloe needs help in this department. Too many people didn't like it. That's all I have to say. So these are my final thoughts, and we'll wrap up the video soon. We'll see what Chloe's career will be in years to come. From what it's looking like right now, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like it'll be a Drake or Ariana Grande type of longevity. And to be honest, from what her team is making her do and what they're strategizing, I'd say like 5 years. A good run, 5 years solo. And then maybe she'll do some behind the scenes stuff. Maybe she'll be more prominent behind the scenes. Like, I don't think she'll have a really good run. And I don't think she'll make it as big as an impact as she wants to. That's another side part. She has all the tools to become a megastar, and it's just not being used in the right way. Another reason why I don't think her solo career will have longevity is because I feel like she went solo too early. Chloe and Halle were just garnering attention in the group. People were just beginning to familiarize themselves with them. So there was nothing much to build off of when she branched off to be a soloist. Second off, the first single of her solo career, she does a trendy song. This was such a huge mess up. Her talent wasn't utilized in the song, and it dropped so low down the charts after its debut position that it says a lot about the quality of the song. Usually an artist's first single is super important, like you're introducing your sound and art to the world. I think she did this for fun, maybe. You know, her being in the group, she probably figured people already know her vocal skills, and so she wanted to do something completely different that shocks people. Listen, I get it, but still a misstep. Thirdly, Chloe hasn't had a win with the general public. I mean, she's had a lot of moments where people were talking about her, a lot of trending moments, but none where the majority of the people were approving of it. I wouldn't say it's a 50-50 situation where there are haters and supporters. I definitely say it's more of a 60-40, where 60% of people support her, but there's definitely a noticeable and significant 40% who are not here for her. And that is a problem. It's been almost a year since she's announced her solo endeavors, or she's, dipped her toe in the waters to test to see if people are receptive to her, and we're closing out the year, you guys, and it's not looking good. Like, she needs something to boost her approval ratings. She needs a win in her career because it's been too polarizing thus far. It's great to have like a cult following, but that's only good for like a moderate career. If she wants longevity, she needs the general public support. I don't know what she needs to do. I mean, I'm just throwing things at the wall, giving my opinions, but for right now, it's not looking good. But hey, who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong, hopefully. And in a recent interview, she has mentioned that she's thinking about going to a different direction in her sound and useful and tasteful direction. I don't know. I'm just hoping for something different with her solo career. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye.